Gayatri Mahamant. Om Bhuribhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Invocation of Adi Guru Muni Ved Vyas. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Deva Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namo Namah. अखंड मंडलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमो नमः. ओम श्री गुरुवे नमो नमः. व्यास रूपेण आवाहयामि स्थापयामि ध्यायामि पूजयामि ततो नमस्कारं करोमि. Under the realms of the esoteric learning, understanding of the seeker must also develop to the extent of a surgical knife's edge. How sharp should be one's understanding? Like a surgical knife. Following the path of Adiguru Muni Vyas, now Arjuna is an evolved seeker who has now been able to understand 7 chapters of Shrimed Bhagavad Gita. Of course, yes, slight bewilderment and confusion shall prevail all along, but yet now he is prepared enough to absorb the esoteric understanding. Therefore, his first confusion must be eliminated, which corresponds to the usage of certain words, which find their usage at several places, especially the words where the connotation appears to be different at different places. The connotation matters. Therefore, Arjuna wants to eliminate all and every kind of confusion that may creep in to distort an understanding, since he now well understands that he has furthered towards an esoteric learning. Thereby, taking the threads from the last chapter, the first 2 verses given to Arjuna in the form of asking a question, seeking a clarification of the prime meaning. I'm using the word prime. Prime means rather the most original meaning of those terms which find their usage at several places in several forms. He proposes 8 questions before his master, Krishna. Those 8 questions are very important ones. They appear to be very ordinary initially, but later on, when they shall unfold into the chapter, we shall find that how beautifully everything was orchestrated in the form of this timeless curriculum known as Shrimed Bhagavad Gita. His 8 questions correspond to those terms used in the last verses and also commonly used by spiritual seekers while they undergo their study. The first is, let me take the help of the slide so that I can address those questions individually. The first question he wants to know about is, what is Brahma? Now, the Brahma is a word which is deployed in the understanding of spiritual realms for several aspects. It is also used for addressing Vedas. The same word is also deployed when it comes to talk about the unmanifest. The same word is also deployed when it comes to talk about the supreme consciousness, the ultimate reality. It is also at times deployed for the consciousness within. Now, what exactly is Brahma? When I have to embark upon an esoteric learning, the precision of my own understanding has to be very sharp so that there is no room left for any distortion or deflect. No confusion at all. So, therefore, tell me, what is Brahma? The second question is, Kim Adhyatmamam. Adhyatma is a very broad word. It is also deployed as a usage towards the entire stream of knowledge of spiritualism, the science of soul. Adhyatma is also deployed when it comes to talk about an individual. Adhyatma is also used when it is deployed to address certain aspects of existence within this mortal plane. What exactly do you mean by Adhyatma? You have to very precisely answer so that I can further my understanding based upon that. Though I shall be well aware that whenever it comes to draw a meaning, the context shall be taken from the usage of the word while considering under what background it has been deployed. Yet I would seek the precise meaning of it through you, my master. What is karma? Is karma about the dispensation of the past life karmic bondages known as the hardcore destiny prarabdha or sanchit, the accumulated one? Or what? Are you talking about day to day mundane activities as karma? Or are you talking about the noble deeds I dispense as karma? Or are you talking about those sacrifices that we offer as karma yoga in the form of a yajna as karma? What exactly do you mean by karma over here? And not only over here, what is the primary, the primal meaning of these terms? And here he gives an assignage to the master Purushottam that we shall come later on. The next question is, what is Adhibhutam? Are you talking about the primary elements that constitute the nature? The fire, the sky, the water, the earth, etc. Are you talking about them? Or are you talking about all living and non living, animate, inanimate creatures, beings on the planet? Or are you talking about some other special power that exists within ourselves as Adhibhutam? What exactly do you want to mean? The reason being because the word Adhi has been added as a prefix with the basic word bhutam, and that you shall find even further in the further questions. Whenever there is a basic term which is used, there is a prefix of adhi, which gives it a vast pervasive understanding. Like we talk about annamay, the outcome of the anna, the outcome of the food. The moment we add along with it the treasure part, the kosha, the treasure, that means then there is something much, much more to be known, something deep to be understood. So, likewise, adhibhutam, are you talking about the entire kingdom of some understanding of an existence? What else do you mean by adhibhutam? The next is Adhidevam. Are you talking about some specific deity that we worship? Or are you talking about a set of deities with certain spiritual powers? Or you're talking about the ones, the original spark within a human being as Adhidevam? Or you're talking about some special power which manifests as a boon when it is prayed or when it some sort of a penance is offered to it to please it, to appease it. What exactly do you want to convey when you use this word Adidevam? I need to be clear and you must inform me. In the next slide, you'll find the second verse of the same chapter, Akshar Brahma Yoga. It is also known as the imperishable Brahma, the knowledge about the imperishable Brahma in English. And the learned ones have also termed it as Abhyasa Yoga. Yeah, thickly speaking in English, it is Abhyas is practice, perseverance, but yet Abhyas happens to be one of the bedrock constituent of Bhagavad Gita. There are two primary constituents that constitute as the bedrock of Bhagavad Gita. One is Abhyas, another is Vairagya. One is perseverance, one is practice, another is Vairagya, renunciation, detachment, absolute focus. So Abhyas and Vairagya. So Abhyas Yoga is also a term which learned ones ascribe to this chapter of the imperishable Brahma, the Akshar Brahma Yoga. In the next verse, the question furthers to point number six, question number six. What is Adi Yagya? Are you talking about the oblations that we offer as the scriptural information drawn from the Vedas? Or are you talking about some kind of a ongoing process in the entire creation where everyone, every constituent is cooperating for coexistence? Are you talking about that? Or is it something very different than what exactly I understand? Please tell me, what is Adhi Yagna? Then the seventh question is a question that creates a lot of confusion initially, though it shall be well answered by the great master in the coming verses, and that is Katha Katham Ko Atra Dehe Asmin. Tell me, you have mentioned that it exists within this body. Are you talking about the physical dimension? What exists in this body? Is it about the adhiyagya, the word deployed just before this? Or is it about the entire gamut of understanding that you want to mention in the last two verses of the previous chapter, where from the threads of this present chapter have been picked up from? Tell me, what is this talking about? It exists within this body. Now, it exists within this body has to be well interpreted. Katham ko atra dehe asmin. Exactly speaking, to interpret it in the understanding which has been drawn from the previous chapter, this talks about the ongoing, not exactly about the physical dimension or a location of something which wants to be regionalized or has to be precisely understood, but about the ongoings within a human during the moments of its final transition from this sojourn. That's exactly what he wants to understand. What is the context, exact context? I want to understand, because these words, they are quite confusing. They are directing my understanding towards different directions. So I want to be very precise about that. Madhusudana, again another beautiful assignage towards his great master Krishna. Now, the eighth question talks about the precise aspect. Priyana kale cha katham gyaya asi. What I gave a mention in the seventh is now well elaborated here. Priyan kale, the final moments of transition, which means biological death in other terms. But we take it as a transition in the spiritual realms because our soul never dies. It merely transcends into a different dimension. This particular abode of this planet was a sojourn, it was a temporary residence. Now it has to transcend further. Cha katham gyaya asi. What is exactly ongoing and how it is ongoing? How does a person, which person mentioned in the last term, Niyat Atmabhi. Niyat Atmabhi has been talked about, that exalted one, the perfect one, the one who has been able to master senses, one who has been now well able to understand the prime understanding about something that is going to stay and something that is going to perish, that we term as nitya anitya. What is going to stay and what is going to perish? One who is able to discern and discriminate, to understand the difference between two, is termed as niyat atmabhi, also understood as yukta chetas, yukta chitta, one who has absorbed the esoteric understanding of the Brahma Jnana. When he or she transcends towards the different dimension, what is the ongoing and how is that ongoing? Especially when we understand that senses, the all energy prana has been withdrawn from the senses, the function of the senses has almost obliterated. It is now undergoing a process of termination. So, thereby, the working of the senses, the working of the mind, the intellect, the chitta has also lost its power. Yet, what is the ongoing within that seeker? If at all that such a seeker of an exalted state is at the moment contemplating about you, how and what is the ongoing? That's what I want to know. Initially, it appears that Arjuna has proposed a questionnaire comprising 8 questions that do not exactly correspond with each other. There is no synchronicity within them. So, how do we connect the dots? But the moment we shall further ahead, the understanding that the Master shall bestow in the coming verses shall not only connect the dots, but shall also give a great amount of light. Catch my word, light. Understanding is something which the intellect has to perform. Beyond that, when the understanding is grounded deep within a human being, it is considered to be as the light, something which is even higher than the source of the impulsive instinctive behavior. That is the light. Now, these verses shall further give us a light of understanding. I think that shall comprise a better term, a light of understanding, whereupon we shall be able to contemplate during the moments of our contemplation. Akshar Brahma Yoga is also going to talk about the techniques of meditation, techniques of contemplation. Therefore, a well substantiated ground must be prepared beforehand so that when the moment comes, we are clear about the subjects, we are clear about the terms, and the moment we want to undergo within ourselves, we know when we address Brahma, Bhuta, Yagya, Deva, what exactly do they mean, so that we will enable them transpire in the consonance of their true light drawn from the words of the Master. This is going to follow. So, all these appearing to be non coherent, something inconsonant, not connected, shall become a very well connived, orchestrated curriculum at that moment. We'll have to wait for that moment. But before that, in today's classroom, we shall also address those 2 assignage that have been given to his master Krishna by Arjuna. The first was in the previous verse as Purushottama. Purushottama means the Purush, the Uttam Purush, the excellent, the epitome of excellence should be understood as Uttam, the most exalted state. Purush is the pure consciousness. You are the pure consciousness of the highest state, highest order. You are at the top. You're at the zenith. You're the epitome. We can use many words as metaphors in order to give it the most exalted state. Who else? The meaning behind this assignage is who else would be the most befitting one to answer my seeking, to resolve my ambiguity, to clear my doubts, to give me precision in my understanding, to bestow me the light of understanding. Who else shall be better than you? You and you alone. And the word deployed in the second verse is Madhu Sudan. Madhu was a demon along with a compatriot known as Kaitab, Madhu Kaitab. Now here comes the another significance of Shrimad Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita has drawn certain assignages from other scriptures and other ages as well, other era as well, other yuga as well. Like the one Madhusudan. The word Madhusudan, the demon Madhusudan, has directly to do nothing with Krishna, the manifestation of Krishna. His divine manifestation as Krishna has nothing to do with it. But yes, the original manifestation of that unmanifest known as the Vishnu, Narayan, he was the one who had to do with this demon. As it is informed to us through our scriptures, that there were 2 demons, Madhu and Katam. They were born out of the wax of the year of Narayan, the year wax of Narayan. Both were born. And with special significance and reference to Madhu, Madhu was the one who stole the Vedic wisdom from Brahma. Now, talking about if we want to translate in as an occurrence in the physical realms, things won't connect. You won't find pragmatism into them. How could one steal knowledge from the beholder of the knowledge? Or was it a book which was confined to some shelf which was yet unread by the Brahma? And before he could embark upon even the first page, it was stolen. It went stolen. No, there's nothing of that kind. These are mere symbolic indications towards a deeper esoteric elaboration. Now, here, let us confine ourselves to this the assignage of Madhu Sudan. Madhu is a demon who stole the Vedic wisdom. Now, this wisdom was recovered by Narayana, which was the original manifestation of Keshava. Madhu was blessed by a boon that none shall be able to terminate him. So, thereby, in the guise of a high grieve manifestation, the divine manifestation as half horse and half human, manifested and instead of giving boon, sought a boon from Madhu. You're so powerful, you're so empowered with spiritual might. Why don't you bless me? Why don't you give me a boon? And Madhu, out of his inflated, unwanted, unmindful ego, immediately said, "Seek what you want." And in the guise of the half horse and half human manifestation, the divine said, "Okay, bless me with the boon that you are terminated." So, in a way, Madhu was terminated by giving, by offering, or by fulfilling the boon which he himself had given to the higher grief manifestation. And the Vedic wisdom was restored. Here, all these words, they correspond to Vedic wisdom. They are the fundamentals of understanding the Brahma Vidya. Therefore, in order to remove the doubts, the seeker has addressed his master as Madhusudana, one who was able to restore the Vedic wisdom of those times. Madhusudan, to me, you two are the same. You shall restore to me, you shall instill into me the true understanding of the Vedic wisdom. So, therefore, I seek thee to render me with the light of understanding so that I gather the exact meaning of these terms and I further. Following the beatitude of the teaching of Shrimad Bhagavad Gita, more shall come in the next classroom. Till then, Om Hi Satya Hai, Om Hi Satya Hai, Om Hi Satya Hai.